It was the sudden appearance of a warp storm at the Kaurava system's outer edge that first caught the attention of the Imperium, and not just the Imperium. After hundreds of years under the neglectful watch of the Imperial Guard, nearly every force in the galaxy would descend upon the planet of Kaurava, bent only on domination and victory. 3 races had long dwelled in there. The Imperial Guard, its supposed rulers, the Orc tribes of Kaurava II, which the Guard had never successfully put down, and the Necron, who had slept undisturbed for untold millennia beneath Kaurava III. Where the Chaos Marines came from, or how, none can say. Did the Warp Storm bring them, or did they bring the Warp Storm? Both appeared suddenly on Kaurava IV, and in an eye blink, half the system's Imperial forces were gone, killed or claimed by the madness of chaos. In quick succession, the others flocked to Kaurava. The Space Marines, the Imperium's super soldiers, descended on Kaurava II, planning to finally cleanse the system, both of the troublesome Orcs and the Chaos Marines, the sworn mortal enemies. The Tau appeared next, not far above, on one of the planet's moons. In the interests of protecting its ordered empire from the effects of human folly, the Tau came seeking to contain the Warp Storm, and in so doing, expand the territory's border. On their moon, they built a mighty fortress, and there forged a space cannon capable of interplanetary devastation. Among the wastes of Kaurava III, the Necrons, perhaps awakened by the disruptive forces of the Warp Storm, slowly massed their lethal legions. In quick response, webway gates, long unused, flickered to life, and Eldar poured forth, ready to battle their dark, death-dealing adversaries. Meanwhile, in the shadow of an ancient portal gate, the Dark Eldar slipped stealthily out of the murky depths of the webway. They would be like carrion birds, flying above the battlefield, and when all were weary from the fight, make the battlefield into a feasting ground. Last to arrive, and perhaps most to be feared, were the Sisters of Battle, holy maidens and bearers of the Guard Emperor's faith. They had come to cleanse the system of corruption and filth. Their faith left them fanatical, unafraid of death and zealous in their cause. Nothing here was clean. All must be purged. Now, war rages anew, and only the victorious may write their history. Only the victorious will claim the planets of Kaurava. The Imperial Guard's headquarters in the Dusala precinct of the city planet of Kaurava I was also the system's primary Bane Blade production facility. Under the strong and capable leadership of the new Governor-General Vance Stubbs, the Guardsmen were once again well-supplied, armed, and organized. Any attacker would find themselves facing a formidable amount of firepower. Since the outbreak of the warp storm on Kaurava 4, the Imperial Guard had known a humbling series of setbacks. Losing a full 3/4 of their fighting men was just a start. General Stubbs was determined to triumph in the face of this and all other adversity. Unfortunately, a full regiment of Baneblade tanks, the Guard's armored superweapon, had that very day been dispatched to various territories throughout the Kaurava system. The Dusala Precinct headquarters was thus left without a single Baneblade to its advantage. But they had their factories. Repair parts, munitions, and operating crews were moved via a system of convoys to the centrally located Mars pattern buildings, which produced the tanks. These convoys, then, were to be the Imperial Guard's weakest link, and also their greatest hope.
How are the men?
Tolerable, sir.
Morale?
Good at Central, poor in the front.
Casualties?
The same, sir.
Firing squads?
20 today, 12 for cowardice in the line of duty.
Baneblade production?
Tank crew, munitions and parts are arriving by convoy on schedule, sir. As you know, it takes only the most highly trained crew to properly operate a...
I know.
Very good, General.
How many do we have on hand?
Unfortunately, sir, a shipment of 100 Baneblades has just gone out to serve.
I see. Look at this. Once this was a fine city, gleaming beacon of the Emperor's light, a center of industry. Now look at it. Commissar, I would like to see this city built up again. I would like to see towers and spires of gleaming white. I would like to see our men on parade routes, not tours of duty. I would like to see every city in this planet, every colony in this besotted, miserable system turn to the service and industry of the Imperium in the Emperor's name.
In the Emperor's name, sir.
But to see my dreams fulfilled, first we must wipe the system clean of these blasted Xenos and heretics and monsters and zealots. And to do that, this base, our center of command, must operate free of danger or harassment. Our troops are ready. Our tanks and our sentinels. And if the Emperor wills it, we will have functioning Baneblades. Tell me, Commissar, are we prepared? Or will we be lambs taken to slaughter? Well, we'll do what we can and pray for victory. The enhanced Basilisk cannon has been prepared by our tech priest engineers, has it not? It can be fired at will.
Very good, General.
It only requires an artillery spotter. We shall place our faith in the God Emperor.
In the Emperor's name, sir.
That will have to do the job. As always, we place faith in the Emperor. All my work, crushed. All the good men who gave their lives for this cursed, this blasted system. Though my army lies in ruins today, I have not done fighting, and I will remember who my enemies are.
Selena Agna, from the very start of her campaign in the Kaurava conflict, had harbored great suspicion towards the Imperial Guard 252nd Conservator Regiment. Their presence in the system when the warp storm broke out was cause enough. But their stubborn, indeed blasphemous, refusal to lay down arms and accede to the governance of her Sisters of Battle was the final proof. For these reasons, the idea of making war on fellow Imperial soldiers did not trouble the Sisters. With steely conviction, purging flame, and heavy armor, the Sisters of Battle bore down on General Stubbs' army until it broke and scattered. The evident cowardice of the Guardsmen confirmed every suspicion of guilt the Canoness had ever harbored. Her original resolve was then renewed and redoubled. Every inch of the tainted system must be cleansed by fire. More than any other race, the Eldar concerned themselves with the distant past and the distant future. In visions, Farseer Keris anticipated the reawakening of their ancient foes, the Necrons, on Kaurava III. A webway gate, unused for many millennia, flickered to life. In the blink of an eye, a barren tract of the wasteland planet became a sprawling base of operations, and the Eldar army poured forth from it. Just as quickly, this stronghold vanished from the naked eye, concealed by Eldar artifice. The Eldar had learned long ago that no bulwark, no matter how strong, could halt the slow, implacable progress of the Necrons. Only illusion, deceit, and misdirection could accomplish that goal. And these are things at which the Eldar are peerless. The Eldar had prepared a harrowing gauntlet for their invaders, with all the feints and deceptions they could muster. This stronghold was not just a foothold, not just a key strategic point, not just home to many Eldar secrets. No! Through its long history, it had become sacred to the craft world Eldar, and they would defend it accordingly.
They approach. We are prepared.
Yes, Farseer, but
Yes?
must we fight?
We shall fight. They must never suspect. They shall come, expecting the obvious, the simple, the artless. They shall stab at the shadows with confused minds and troubled hearts. Meanwhile, we shall appear unseen from 10 directions, and from every one, strike a fatal blow. Do you know the history of this place, which we call Esselir Talith and the young races call the Upper Wastes?
We, the Eldar, made our war camp here, in a past age.
Yes, that is so. Our ancestors came here to fight the Necrons when they were an overwhelming wave that swept the worlds. This system was one of their stages of destruction, their foundries of undeath. Our ancestors defeated them here. We constructed our war operations center here as an illusion. No brute army, no simple display of force could uncover its secrets, and none ever shall. No, it is more than an illusion. It is a clever trap, this place our ancestors forged. It is a net covered in leaves that the savage beast willingly stands on, tempted by a bloody morsel, only to find itself hoisted, trapped, at the hunter's mercy. No, we shall guard our secret. No force can strike a target it cannot find. We shall not yield up our foothold on this world. Kaurava was once ours, and shall be ours again. We came here long, long ago. We did battle with our deathless foes, the Necrons, and won. This day we have lost. If they swarm again like locusts here, some other must stop them. I am wounded. For we shall be gone.
Selena Agna viewed the Eldar she did every other alien race as enemies of the God Emperor. She knew of their ancient and advanced civilization, but to her this only made them rivals to the Emperor's primacy. Bolstered by her adherence to the doctrine of the Ecclesiarchy, the Canonists marched against the Eldar, declaring them natural enemies of the Imperium. The many ruses and deceits of the alien enemy could not prevail against the Sisters of Battle, religious zeal, and devastating flames. Following the victory and the necessary prayers and ablutions, Canoness Agna ordered the ancient Eldar stronghold cleansed. Almost all of the Eldar technology was burned and cleared away. The upper wastes were ritually purified and declared territory of the Imperium and dominion of the Ecclesiarchal Sisterhood. It may never be known what first awakened the cold legions of the Necron from their vast burial vaults in the southern coast of Kaurava III. Archives suggest that Imperial Guard survey crews may have been dispatched to coastal Emosa several months before the conflict. Others point to the strange and unknown influence of the warp storm, which could somehow have roused the deathless Necrons from their slumber. Out of the dry Emosan sands, an ancient complex emerged. Part burial ground, part power plant, part staging ground. As builder scarabs removed sands and restored structures to power, its clean-cut, symmetrical, and lifeless form emerged. It pulsed with the green glow of the strange power which fuels the Necrons. Vast reserves of it. Enough to drive an endless stream of monoliths and Necron soldiers. Anyone foolish enough to assail this unearthed necropolis would do well to heed that flow of energy. It is the source of the Necron's power, and if unchecked, there is little limit to what strength Necrons could marshal against their foes. they come. Awake. I give you energy. Drink of it, and awake. They shall meet their ends. They shall join the army of death. The Sisters of Battle, who piously hold all forms of alien life in disdain, treated the Necron threat with the greatest disgust possible. A Sister of Battle's highest hope was martyrdom in her Emperor's name. Ultimately, this revulsion at the Necrons must have fueled the Sisters' passion in the heat of battle and brought them to their righteous victory. The sight of a Necron city half uncovered from beneath the Emosan sands conjured for each and every sister the enormous monstrosity of their foe. Defeat was unacceptable. Such a thing could not be permitted within the reach of the Imperium. The sisters' fury and their inspired acts of faith fully overwhelmed the Necrons. Even the manifestation of one of their Catan gods, the Deceiver, could not salvage them from the purging fire that always goes before the triumphant Sisters of Battle, burning alien, heretic, and mutant alike. Little was ever uncovered, and little will ever be known of how the warp storm was unleashed on the Kaurava system's fourth habitable planet. Whether guardsmen there grew corrupt and turned to evil worship, or whether the storm took them unawares, is an open question. What is without doubt is that at the storm's eye lay the lair of the Chaos Space Marines. And at the heart of this lair, a network of unholy and blood-stained shrines, linked somehow inextricably to the storm itself. Although the lethal warp storm would flicker and squall here and there, ever shifting, a permanent conduit to the warp was maintained between these shrines. A charged field of immateria whirled there, certain death to any who had not given themselves over fully to chaos. In that radiant, deadly energy field, strange shapes could be seen dancing, screaming, howling. Any would-be conqueror of this unholy citadel would somehow have to dispel the chaos field that protected it. To enter it would be certain death, and while it stood, nothing could reach the forces of chaos that lurked at its center.
They come! They come!
Yes, we feel them. They approach. Their blood shall flow at our feet. Blood for the blood god! Yes, we shall slake our thirst for death, for chaos, for terror, yes!
They draw near. Let them come. The very ground will poison you. Demons will appear from the warp when your back is turned. We shall lash out from every direction, and yours shall be the cries of death and horror. The sound of your doom will ring in your skull, in your soul. You shall tremble, and your blood shall be a gift to the blood god. Let them come. We are ready. Cannot lose! We cannot die! How can we?
Without our devotion, without our sacrifice.
Oh, the horrid blossom of chaos will wither! We'll die! This world is slipping from our grasp.
Destroy them all! Pathetic creatures! Into the black, corrupted heart of chaos was truly a great test of faith for the Sisters of Battle. They walked among the many abominations born of the warp, bearing witness to the desecrated forms of unfortunate guardsmen, Sisters of Battle, and Space Marines, hung throughout the Dark City as victory trophies. But still they marched, under the firm guidance of Canoness Selena Agna, purging everything in their path. Ultimately, the unnatural powers of the Chaos Space Marines failed to unnerve or scatter the resolve of the Sisters of Battle, who took their foes with grit, steel, and a scourge of fire. The shrines were toppled, and the other works of the Alpha Legion were scattered and smashed. Lord Karen and many of his soldiers were cast back into the warp. Knowing the caution required when combating chaos, Canoness Agna ordered much of the region quarantined and kept under remote surveillance. Though the battle was won, there could be no vigilance too great. The Dark Eldar little feared an attack on their base of operations, situated as it was on the dark side of the moon, well within the reaches of the warp storm of Kaurava 4. The seventh ancient gate lay on that moon, but the Dark Eldar, knowing its technology well, had fixed it to work only for them when they had arrived there. The effect of this hubris and the general anarchic nature of Archon Tarrel's soldiers resulted in a sprawling makeshift reproduction of Komorrah, the Dark Eldar home city. Surrounding the major war camp lay smaller camps, surrounded by miles of torture ground, a sort of cage garden of the homunculus Grumanael's making. Rich with plunder, enslaved scraps and goods, this area had grown and sprawled. Meanwhile, the center grew dense with powerful Dark Eldar and the legendary Asdrubael Vecht, leader of Taril's Blackheart Cabal, was said to oversee the war preparations there. To say the Dark Eldar were unprepared for an attack would not be quite accurate. The Dark Eldar are ever ready for battle. It is a sport and a passion to their kind, and there is no such thing as catching them off their guard. Nonetheless, the miles of torture gardens were poorly attended at best, and full of prisoners, many still capable of turning against their captors. For an attacker, there was a faint glimmer of hope.
We are fresh from the fight. We have shed blood. Death, terror, and anguish sang sweetly in our ears.
But Lord Terran, have you taken prizes?
Do you doubt me, Grumenea? Many prisoners were taken. We have our tribute to Komorrah, and many left over from our safe chambers, and your torture grounds.
Come, Archon! Come to my torture grounds. We win, we lose, win and lose. But always richer. Richer with slaves and spoils.
Indeed, we shall be well respected and rewarded when we return to Komorrah.
When we return, if we return. Return the victors. Return the vanquished. My grounds, where screams are flowers and pain their fragrance. A fine, fine nest we have. High upon the cliff, hard to see, hard still to reach. Will they reach this nest? Will they take away my garden?
Are you questioning my right to lead? My inevitable victory? I am the deadly shadow and the bird of prey. I am the poisoned dagger that brings swift death. These crude and foolish armies know nothing of strategy. If they see a wall, they attack it. If they see an army, they charge at it. They will be too busy with each other to notice us. Or if they do, it will be too late. Worry not. And it is of no matter, we keep a keen watch. If an army approached, surely we would see it coming. Then we would tear it to pieces.
You fool! I will have your head for this! Quickly, back to Komorrah!
Well, if he had died, I should have taken his place. Now I must flee.
Selena Agna found in the Dark Eldar moon base confirmed every suspicion she had harbored regarding these debased aliens. Such a vile race must be cut out, like a tumor, wherever it manifested. It required all her faith to look upon the atrocities and depravities she found in that place and not go mad. The chaotic powers that twisted the nature of the Dark Eldar made them remarkably strong, but not as strong as the Sisters of Battle, who smote, purged, and pulverized every vestige of taint they found on the moon of Lacune. All that dark iniquity was consumed in flame, and the valiant Sisters of Battle did not rest until the ground beneath them was thoroughly cleansed and sanctified. It was no secret that it was the war-bus Gorguts himself who led the Wa in the Kaurava conflict. But who were the orcs he led? Imperial records indicate that these orcs had always been in Kaurava, going back at least a millennium. It seems that when Gorguts arrived, they welcomed him as a long-awaited hero. These rugged Kauravan orcs had sometimes overrun the system's 4 planets, and sometimes been beaten back to their secret stronghold in the Rockclaw Mountains. There had never once been a successful attempt to breach the vast hideout there, and the orcs believed there never could be. But in the past, these orcs had always retreated to this place in great numbers at the first sign of defeat. Gorgut saw such behavior as un-orky. He insisted that you had to take a bolter round or 2 if you wanted to win. And Gorguts lived only to win. Gorgut's strategy meant that the orc stronghold was not invincible. But this did not mean that it was undefended. Reaching the lair was one thing. Penetrating its defenses was entirely another.
You see, Big Boss Gorguts, this here's the strongest and bestest orc horde has ever held an orc.
Oh, is that so then?
Ain't no Yumi's got in here ever. With the Rockclaw Mountains all round us, there's only one way in. Even if there was to get in, they'd have all the boys to face. Oh, and the knobs, and the tanks. Then there's the squig-offs.
Say they beat all that.
That's when we get them with the fighter bombers. We'd squash them to a pulp. We got watchers watching day and night. Nobody but an orc gets close to us without we see them and crush them to smithereens. Boss! Boss! There's enemies in the camp! What? In the camp? We gotta stop them before they gets to the killing spot. Them drums! Beat the drums! Get to them!
What's this here killing spot?
Beat the drums! We've got to hold the killing spot!
Bestest orc hold ever, huh?
My beautiful orc hold!
boys, let's get out of here!
The fact that the Imperium had shared a planetary system with the filthy Orc barbarians for hundreds of years, rather than promptly exterminating them, filled Canoness Selena Agna with disgust. Her sisters would tolerate such an infestation no more than the taints of heresy or mutation. Of course, the failures of the weak Imperial Guard had become compounded. The Orcs had been allowed to enter the dangerous war phase and could no longer be ignored. Cleaving to their sense of duty, and with a great deal of purging fire, the Sisters of Battle stormed the ancient Orc retreat in the Rocklaw Mountains and thoroughly routed their foes. The Canoness took her victory as a testament to their faith. When it was discovered, after the battle, that the war boss Gorguts had somehow escaped, she maintained that the Emperor had humbled them in their moment of victory, lest they grow too proud. The vast Tau military complex on Kaurava II's second moon had always been intended for purposes above and beyond the current war. In a Tau-dominated solar system, this complex would become a key outpost on the Empire's border. This moon base had been named Nan Yanoi, or Sword Moon, referring to the powerful Arca cannon built there. This weapon could fire its devastating ion beam on any territory of any planet in the system. Heavy fortifications and anti-aircraft arrays were not enough for the Earth-cast architects of Nan Yanoi. To these, they added an ambitious orbital perimeter defense system, which would fire ion beams similar to that of the Arca cannon, tuned to harm only intruders and spare Nan Yanoi's infrastructure from any damage. When complete, Nan Yanoi would be unassailable. Unfortunately, the Tau stronghold was attacked before it was complete. Many systems and fortifications were not yet fully operational, including the perimeter defense system. An invasion fleet could be shot down, but they could not as easily protect against a small force from making a beachhead at one of the gaps in the Tau's outer defenses. Such a feat would be extraordinarily difficult, but it might just be possible.
We welcome your gracious presence, Aun Royu.
I see that our Earth-cast engineers have made splendid progress in constructing the Nan Yanoi base station.
Yes, Your Eminence, it is nearly complete. There are only a few gaps remaining in our perimeter defenses, and they are heavily guarded until our orbital defense system is fully operational.
Setting stabilizers. Ready to fire.
Excellent. And this Arca cannon you have built, quite a marvel, as I understand it.
Indeed. From this moon, we can fire on any habitable territory in the Kaurava system. Do you wish to inspect it yourself? It harms only advanced life forms, thus avoiding damage to structures and plant life.
This is indeed most commendable.
Our orbital defenses were built using the same technology. Both are controlled from this location.
What is that? perimeter has somehow been breached. I must attend to this. Please, Your Excellence, return to the Coalition Center. Yes, that may be best. Dispatch Pathfinders, locate the source of the breach, and see that they do not gain entrance and establish a foothold. Notify all Fire Warriors and Crude Carnivore squads. Let us hope that our defenses are strong enough to hold them. Noble Ethereal! Oh, we have lost you! We have lost all!
Of all their adversaries, Canoness Selena Agna felt the Tau posed a singular threat. If allowed to complete their Nanyonoi moonbase, the Tau would have an almost impenetrable stronghold, which could do great damage to the Sisterhood's cause. Assuaging her fears, Confessor Turgenem March counseled the Canoness to place her faith in the Emperor's will. And as it happened, the Sisters of Battle were granted the opportunity to attack the Tau before the moonbase was complete. With much fire and many acts of faith, the alien compound was purged. Their commander and their false saint were slain. Canoness Agna took their skulls as offerings to the Emperor and tokens of her devotion. Some of the enemy's heretical technology was sent to the Ordo Xeno for study, and much of the rest was dutifully destroyed. The Blood Ravens had learned the value of speed and mobility through hard battlefield experience. Force Commander Boreal, who had studied under the famed Commander Angelos, sought to make his reliance on stationary defensive structures as small as possible. Therefore, rather than build up the Space Marines' Central Command, entire companies were reserved in the fleet above Kaurava II. These would be ready to deep strike with deadly speed into any territory, including the Blood Raven's own headquarters. If attacked by an enemy, drop pods would cover the Marine stronghold in a steely, thunderous hail, swarming the Space Marines' enemies with super soldiers and dreadnoughts. Force Commander Boreal was sure of his plan. His greatest weapon was, after all, the superiority of the Space Marines themselves. Who could weather such a rapid and devastating defensive tactic?
Commander Boreal, enemy forces in our perimeter.
Where?
Southern Quadrant, but they were on the move. Current location unknown.
There is no time to be lost. Battle, brothers! Space Marines, today the enemy is at our door. We know our duty and we will do it. We fight for our honor as Blood Ravens, as Space Marines, and we fight in the name of the Emperor. And if we die this day, we die in glory. We die heroes' deaths, but we shall not die. No, it is the enemy who will taste death and defeat. As you know, most of our battle brothers are stationed in space, prepared to deep strike. Our perimeter has been prepared in the event that our enemies should be so bold and so foolish. We have placed numerous beacons, allowing for multiple, simultaneous, and devastating defensive deep strikes. Codex Astartes names this maneuver Steel Rain. We will descend upon the foe. We will overwhelm them. We will leave none alive. Meanwhile, our ground forces will ensure the full defense of our headquarters. We are the Space Marines. We are the Emperor's Fury. Have failed. The Emperor.
Association with the Inquisition, the Sisters of Battle have often taken it upon themselves to determine corruption among the other branches of the Imperial Armed Forces. After witnessing the prevalence of chaos in the Kaurava system, Confessor Turganum March advised Canoness Agna that any refusal to cede authority to the Sisterhood was clear evidence of heresy. When the Blood Ravens stood their ground, the Canoness acted quickly. Her mandate was clear. As heretics, they must be obliterated. Soldier for soldier, the Sisters of Battle could not compete with the Space Marines. Nevertheless, the Adepta Sororitas carried the day with their purging flames and acts of faith. Any survivors were shown the mercy of battlefield confession, which was far quicker and less painful than proper Inquisition proceedings. It was regrettable that so many Space Marines had to die. It was regrettable that they had come under suspicion of taint. But whatever the circumstances, corruption must be fought and at all costs wiped out. On arriving in the Kaurava system, Confessor Turganum March had remarked to Canoness Selena Agna that he would not be surprised if the place was so corrupt that it all must be put to the torch. In retrospect, these words seemed prophetic. Everywhere they looked, the Sisters of Battle found only weakness, heresy, and abomination. Chaos had nearly devoured the entire system, beginning with the fourth planet. Added to this was the warp storm, which had vanished shortly after the defeat. It hardly seemed likely that any Imperial Guard or Space Marines could have avoided corruption in such circumstances. Although tragic, it was necessary to perform a field inquisition and purge every one of them. When the Sisters of Battle had finished their cleansing, the star system was officially dedicated to their order. Relics of their great victories during the Kaurava conflict were placed in the founding of 6 great ecclesiarchal cities, each devoted to one of the orders militant of the Sisterhood. Pilgrims journeyed from across the galaxy to these retreats, and many millions of sisters gathered there for prayer and preparation in the bastion of Holy Kaurava.